of Around the Campfire with AmeriCamp, the ultimate summer camp podcast. We're in a fun new location, so that's really exciting for anyone that's not seen this background before. And I'm here with the wonderful Lucie Gascoigne. Hi Lucie, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. So this week on Around the Campfire, we're going to be chatting all things AmeriCamp Premium. So for those that kind of aren't aware of what that is, it's a branch of the program that we have for advanced skills and qualifications. My name's Jen and I'm the Premium Camp Manager for AmeriCamp. So we can chat about all the sort of different things that you can do through Premium if you've not been aware of that. The wonderful Lucie has done Premium last year, so we're going to be chatting about sort of what that was like for her at camp, and she's going back to camp again in a few weeks for this summer as well, which is amazing. So yeah, lots of different fun things to discuss. But Lucie, do you want to kind of tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yeah, so like Jen said, hi, I'm Lucie. Last summer, 2024, I was a Premium Media Counsellor at Camp Pembroke in Massachusetts. I was hired through the Premium program as a videographer. And yeah, I had the most amazing summer. And this year I'm now off to Tyler Hill to be a photographer with AmeriCamp Premium again.
So Lucie, what made you sort of want to do a premium role at camp? I don't know if you want to tell everyone like a little bit about your kind of background and sort of what you had in mind for the job that you wanted to do at camp last year as well.
Yeah, of course. So I always knew that I wanted to do something related to media in my future career. And I was in school, like everyone, been through COVID and just didn't really have much idea what I wanted to do. I'd studied film production and digital media at college, loved it, completely fell in love with it. Started kind of freelancing a bit at home, got a lot of experience behind me and decided after seeing AmeriCamp online, like they come up on my TikTok view page, I'm sure like many people watching this, and I just thought, wow, that looks like the most amazing thing. To go work at a camp. I knew I always wanted to travel, and America was really high up there on my list. So I was like, wow, being able to work and travel in the same place, amazing. Let me look what they're in, look at their website, see what kind of things they're doing. Thought, wow, this looks like the most amazing thing. But at the start, I didn't connect the fact that media and camp could be one thing for me. I thought, oh, amazing, I'll look into this. And I'd been a girl guiding leader for many years, was working in secondary school, loved working with kids. So thought, yeah, this looks amazing. I'd love to be something like a general counsellor. Like the whole camp vibes look amazing. Like everyone's seen the Parent Trap, it looks so much fun. And once I started getting into my application, I was asking about skills and I was like, oh, I love working as a freelance photographer, videographer, making my own short films after studying it. And then it came up as one of the things that I could do at camp, which was the most amazing thing. So I didn't realise the two could kind of combine together. And then after I submitted my application, I then got an email from the lovely Jen mentioning the new AmeriCamp Premium program. And that, with my experience and my qualifications, that was something that I could do, which was just so exciting that I could take those skills, which I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with in life, and then combine that with my passion for working with kids and traveling, but still being able to do like my photography and videography, which was, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I think that that's like a really fantastic thing to note, because not a lot of people think that with the AmeriCamp program you're just going to come and you're going to do either like a activity specialist role or a general counsellor role, and that's a sort of quite a misconception that like obviously those roles do exist and they are super popular, but there are camps will hire for so many different things outside of those roles. But again, it's obviously kind of camp dependent and it's experience dependent as well. So all of these camps that we work with that do a lot of premium roles are looking for that kind of level up experience. They're looking for people to come in that have like confidence, that can kind of have that sort of leadership, that sort of assertiveness, and really kind of let them run with that at camp. As I say, from sort of experience with your summer last year and then definitely with Tyler Hill this year as well, like you'll obviously know that camps just have, it's like 10 times anything sort of like that we've experienced in the UK with like PGL and stuff like that. Like camps have like podcast studios and like all of these like really crazy like fun, amazing activities for all the campers to be able to do. So again, depending on the kind of camp that you go to, different camps look for kind of different level sort of experience. And yeah, the premium program is sort of specifically for those more kind of advanced roles, so that kind of camp teams have competency with kind of different skill level as well. So yeah, a lot of people again like come through premium and will do like leadership roles. So we do like senior coaches for like gymnastics and tennis. We have like leadership roles within outdoor adventure. We have like 21 plus like swim leadership roles and things like that. So there's a lot of different kind of step up kind of skills and roles involved in premium, which are not a lot of people know as well, which I think is really cool. And it just kind of offers people the opportunity to do like that little bit more at camp as well, and really kind of, as you say, sort of upskill if it's something that you are looking to do for your career. I think it's like really great sort of applied experience as well.
Definitely, yeah. Like when I got to camp, I was speaking to other people who'd come through the program, and they'd applied for these general roles which they loved and completely thrived in, but they didn't realize that they can necessarily take their tennis coaching from home or their being a ceramics teacher and kind of bring that forward to camp. So it's so amazing to see the AmeriCamp having these premium opportunities available to them.
Absolutely. So yeah, just so for anyone that's sort of not aware, I'll give you a little run through of the things that you can do through Premium, and then we'll have a chat a bit about your role at Pembroke, Lucie, and sort of you can run through sort of what you did last summer, what you're going to do this summer, and then just kind of any tips and tricks that you've got for anyone that's doing similar roles to you this year as well. So with Premium and the sort of different skills that you can do through Premium for 2026, in case anyone didn't know, the applications are open for 2026 if anyone's looking to apply. So there's a lot of different things that you can do through Premium. As I say, we've sort of expanded it year on year, so there's lots of different opportunities and kind of skill sets and roles that are sort of available for sort of going to camp for next summer. So there's everything from kind of sports, creatives, a little bit more sort of niche off the cusp things as well. So water sports are quite a big one. So essentially, if you have a qualification and sort of 3+ years of experience, you are more than likely going to be sort of eligible for the premium program. So we do a little bit of a kind of skills follow-up just to sort of chat a little bit more about sort of your background and experience there. But for example, if you are a sailor and you have like an RYA qualification, you're a boat driver, you have done like paddle sports qualifications or anything like that, these are all things that camps are like, wow, you're the best, coolest person ever. We would love to kind of have you in like a more senior role at Waterfront, and it just kind of gives you more opportunity to kind of shine those skills as well. Again, with my camp was sort of slightly different from, I think, like a lot of the sort of bigger camps at the moment. My camp was super tiny, so we didn't have like a huge lakefront. But I don't know, at Pembroke, Lucie, was it like you had like boats and like all these kind of crazy?
Yeah, we were on a lake called Lake Oldham, which is a massive lake, stretches across like the entire town of Pembroke itself. But our camp had like a big bit kind of cornered off for them. So it had like the jetty and all the inflatables, and they had what they called like the speedboats, like wakeboarding and all amazing things like that.
Yeah, I think like waterfront's such a huge element of camp as well. So regardless of the roles that you are doing, sort of like all the kids and just all the staff at different sort of points of life at camp, you're always sort of going to be down there. So it's always one that camps are like, wow, if you're kind of have a water sports background, you're a very popular person. So
yeah, I love the waterfront where I was. Yeah. On periods off, staff would love it. The kids would always talk about everything they've done at the waterfront. It was just one of the most popular.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sort of outside of waterfront activities, we have like a lot of different sports that we do. So we do tennis, we do gymnastics, we do equestrian. So anyone that's got sort of like a big horse background. We do skateboarding, we do outdoor adventure. So anyone that's got any like scouting backgrounds, any like climbing, archery, kind of like scout leadery sort of training, anything like that. That's sort of included within Premium as well. If you are like 21 plus and you have a sort of swim background where you've got like teaching qualifications, lifeguards, and we have camps that look for like senior roles within waterfront. So yeah, there's kind of like, we've got basketball people this year, like you name it, it exists kind of thing. It's all based on sort of what kind of camps look for year on year. And obviously sort of as camps get kind of bigger and bigger and sort of more sort of sports and activities exist, they're always looking to expand and sort of have more experienced people in different areas as well. So I feel like skateboarding is like a really cool one. Like we didn't do skateboarding at camp, but I would have loved to have been like a little skateboarder when I was younger. I think that would be really cool.
And I feel like it's one of the things that you'd see in the movies and you'd be like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
But never something that I actually tried myself.
Yeah, and again at camp, it's like you just don't, it's not something that you would think about. Like we've got a lot of camps that do now like skate parks and things like that, which I think is awesome. So gymnastics is like quite a big one, I think, in like the sports category, because and tennis as well, I guess, because they're the sort of ones that every single camp has it. So it's like we have like specialist camps that do, like we have a camp that we work with called International Gymnastics Camp. So they're like super big on gymnastics, but they of course do like a lot of other kind of sports and activities as well. But they have like Olympians that go there. Like it's one of those crazy like really kind of cool ones that they look for like qualified coaches and things like that. So there's a lot of different kind of cool opportunities through Premium to do to sort of go to one of those kind of more specialist camps as well. And then again, the last sort of category that we have for anyone listening, and obviously again a bit for you, Lucie, just to be like, oh, I don't know if you have any other secret skills that are like in your sort of back burner, but if you do have any, please let me know. With the sort of like more niche ones, so we do like circus is like a really big one that we have a lot of camps that have like really invested in like trapeze and like rollabola and all these kind of really cool sort of like gymnastics-y sort of performance activities sort of through circus that's really cool. So we do that, we do ceramics, we do like culinary arts. Yeah, there's just kind of like a lot of different sort of things going on with the sort of premium skills. And again, like if there's something that that people do and they're like, oh, I've got a qualification in this, but I don't know if it's something that exists in the kind of camp realm. It probably does. So it's something that, as I say, we kind of speak to all of our camps on a sort of weekly basis just to kind of check in with anything new that's going on there. So if it's something that you're kind of passionate about and something that you have confidence teaching, it's definitely something that you'll most likely be able to do sort of at camp and potentially at a premium level as well, which is great. For anyone that didn't know, with the premium program, you obviously get a higher salary. So that's something that was good for you with your after camp travel, etc. So with the main program, obviously you get $2,250. For the premium program, the minimum is $2,350, but again, this just is a sort of starting point depending on your skill set, depending on the sort of job that you're going into, sort of what's been agreed with camp as well. So it really is like a really great kind of extra starting point for your role at camp as well, which is great. So in terms of your skill set and things like that, Lucie, I think it's obviously great for media as such, like a wide umbrella, because there's so many sort of different things that you can sort of do at camp. Again, we spoke about camps kind of having like podcast studios and like photography. You obviously did sort of videography, but you have kind of experience with both. So it would be great to kind of learn a little bit more about sort of the experience that you had and sort of what was important within your role of doing premium media.
Yeah, definitely. So with my experience at Pembroke, I was told going in, we have a media shed, it looks onto the waterfront, and that's kind of be where you're based. And then walking into it is like, we had the Macs for editing, we had a row full of DSLR cameras we can use, we had like a podcast little station in the corner, we had a bit for animation. So there were so many different kind of electives that the kids could do like under media. So even though I was hired as a videographer, because I was on Premium, because I had previous experience, I was then doing videography and photography, but then I was also teaching the media electives to kids. So some camps, kind of depending on the size, will have like separate elective teachers, and then like actual photographers and videographers. But with Pembroke, I loved that I was kind of doing a bit of both. So I'd have a period of going around the camp and doing videos for the weekly video, another period going around doing photos of all the groups, and then I'd be teaching scrapbooking and filmmaking and podcasting and teaching all the kids how to use all the different equipment, teaching them how to edit. It was so much fun. It really added to the experience as well. I'm not just progressing my skills, I'm also now teaching the kids on how to do it, and they were always so interested. I felt like every time I was going around taking photos, they'd always be like, "Oh my gosh, Lucie, can I take a photo?" They were always so interested on how the big cameras worked, and even like the little camcorders that they'd go around doing like interviews with. We had little mics you could plug in. They were always so interested in it. So that was really nice, being able to not only capture their memories but help them kind of capture their own, which was really nice.
I think that's really great because there's so many different, I didn't really realise there were so many different electives that you kind of could do at camp. And again, obviously everything's kind of always sort of changing and they're kind of adding new things. But I think that's really cool that there is so many kind of different elements. And again, having sort of being able to teach all of those, I think is like really cool as well.
Yeah, that was something I loved about Pembroke, is that you have no 2 days are the same. I think at any camp, no 2 days are the same. But particularly in media, with there being so much variety, there was always something new that a kid wanted to learn. Like, they came to us one day in their elective session and said, "Can we do this interview with this camera, with this tripod in this location?" And it was just the creative freedom of it that we'd be able to give the kids with the within the media department was so amazing.
And was your team quite big? And also, did you have to like do different kind of adaptations for like age groups and things? Sort of like, how did that work on like a day-to-day for you?
So our team was 4 people actually, so quite a small team for media. So then there was me doing videography, there was Caitlin, who you know from AmeriCamp, doing social media, and then there was Kayla, who was a photography specialist, and then our like department head, Mariana. She's been there for 8 years. She's one of the most talented and like dedicated people I know about media. So it was a really small but really strong team. It's kind of like in those environments, no matter how many people, you always have each other's backs. You're always like, "Oh, can I clear this SD card for you? Do you mind taking this period and I'll do this?" And yeah, that was really nice. So we kind of had I say compulsory sessions, the sessions that were timetabled for each bunk to come to us, so all age groups, and then the electives, which the kids could then choose. So it'll be a mixture of ages. So within those, for the different bunk ages, we'd have to you kind of change how you explain to them the kind of ideas that you give to them of what they might want to create. But also in the mixed age sessions, about if there's different cameras perhaps that are more suited to the younger campers versus the older ones, and the high levels of responsibility and like trust within the older campers as well. We had some amazing photographers who were only 13 and 14. Wow. And they loved having the freedom of being able to walk around a section of the camp and taking their photos and then coming back and being able to edit them. And so it's just the balancing up the different levels of like freedom and how you're teaching them. But yeah, altogether we had some amazing kids who'd, like, the older ones would help the younger ones, and it was just a really nice environment altogether.
Again, it's something that it's obviously with, especially the sort of photography, videography elements, it's like you're kind of capturing memories and creating those sort of like live from what's going on, but at the same time, obviously with the teaching element, you're really kind of making that difference like with the kids, and you're really sort of like helping them sort of hone those skills and really kind of like grow from that as well, which I think is like, it was my favorite takeaway from camp 100%, was like the development that I had with my kids from like the start of camp versus the end. I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, definitely. Like seeing their confidence grow, seeing their skills grow, but it also gives you like a really nice sense of like accomplishment that you've really made that difference, which was a really nice thing to come out the other side of camp with.
I love that. And then, so with your schedule, sort of what did that kind of look like in terms of sort of when you were doing like kind of camp photography and when you were off and when you were teaching, kind of what did that look like?
Yep, so I was, as well as media, I was a bunk counsellor as well. So we'd wake up in the morning, we'd all get ready, we'd go outside, raise the flag, and then off to breakfast, come back, we'd have clean up, and then our day was kind of split down into 6 periods. So within those 6 periods, our like 4-person media team was kind of split up into different places depending on what kids were where. So for example, I could have like 3 periods during the day, 2 for video, 1 for photo, and then I'd have 3 kind of teaching periods. So we'd have like a bit like a school timetable kind of on our wall of like, okay, so period 1, Lucie is taking videos at the lake. Period 2, she's off to the tennis and basketball courts. Period 3, she's in the drama hall, photographing the rehearsals. But then period 4, teaching like videography. Period 5, scrapbooking, and then maybe period 6 would be my free period. So we tend to get like one of those free periods a day to kind of have some time to ourselves, kind of relax, rejuvenate, and then come back for the amazing organised chaos of evening activity and dinner.
What kind of evening activities did you have? What kind of things did you do?
Oh, there were so many different ones. There are a couple which they had like a DJ come in and have like a party in kind of the sports hall. That was really fun. Other times there'd be like what do you call it, like scavenger hunts around the camp. I think we had a silent disco at one point.
That's so good.
It really varies day to day. And then with like our junior counsellors, sometimes they'd organise events for the kids. It'd be like bunk competitions. One of my favourites, we had MTV night.
Oh my gosh.
So each bunk would do like their performance, and then they'd do it on the stage, and it was just the most exciting thing. I loved it. And just being able to be at the back of the hall, I had like a camera in each hand and just capturing it all was so amazing. Like not just their competitive spirit, but their joy radiating from it, because they knew like how exciting this is for them. It was really, really nice.
I love that. Like evening activities are my favourite thing, because it's like, right, everyone's back together. Like again, like when we did sort of versus things, it's like, even though it's so much fun, like the kids are so competitive that make me so competitive that I'm like, no, we absolutely must win. Like, of course. Yeah,
of course. There's no option for them not to win. Yeah. So they are so dedicated, but also they have so much enjoyment out of it, which is really lovely to see.
Yeah. I think, like, again, that's a bit of a misconception where, like, a lot of people think, like, even in non-premium roles, like, if you're an activity specialist, like, you miss out and you don't get the full sort of picture of everything. And again, like, 99% of the time, you're also going to be a bunk counsellor. So you're still going to be 100% involved in sort of like all of like your meal times at camp. Like you still have like your kids where you develop that sort of from start to finish, like relationship build with. You've got all your kind of different activities that is happening at camp sort of like throughout the kind of 360 kind of cycle of everything. You obviously get periods off as well. So it's like there's so much opportunity for like a kind of overlap and kind of mingle and all that kind of good stuff as well.
No, definitely. I felt like that was something I was perhaps a little bit apprehensive about last year, was that I wouldn't have that necessarily the close connection with the kids and that bond with perhaps some of the other counsellors, because I felt, oh no, I'm going to be kind of away in media, but that completely wasn't the case at all. Because I was in the bunk with my kids there, my co's there, and then when the kids would come to media and I'd be teaching them, but then also like in the dining hall, we'd switch around tables like once a week, and you'd be with people of all age groups and all different counsellors on different tables. So you really do get that bonding time with them, I think, no matter kind of what role you're in.
Yeah, my camp was the same, where it's just like there's always kind of so much overlap for like kind of mingling. Again, we have camps that, for example, like don't hire generals. So even though like even for the main program, like you don't have to be like the most experienced person in the world to do a specialist role, but at the same time it's like everyone kind of comes from having a bit more experience and a background like in a specific area. So it just kind of gives you more opportunity to kind of have flexibility in what you do. And again, like it might be like your dream camp, and then you might not open yourself up to it because you had a certain idea of like the job that you wanted to do. So I think that it's like great to be sort of as open as possible and give yourself as many opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I had a friend who made at Pembroke, and she was in arts and crafts, and she was so determined on being like a general counsellor, and she didn't really know what speciality she wanted to do. And then with Pembroke, they don't, at least last year, they didn't hire any general counsellors. So everyone was kind of in their own like department and section. And they said to her, oh, you've got experience in art. Are you interested in arts and crafts? She was like, yeah, I am. Like, that would be great. But I don't want to be isolated to arts and crafts. But by the end of the summer, she was like, we go around with our kids during evening activities, during like colour war. And so you still get that full experience, even if you are kind of like in a specific department as such.
Yeah, totally. So what made you kind of choose Pembroke as your camp? Sort of what was your like deciding factor on like, no, this is my camp?
I think just from the go, I had a call with one of our directors, and she was just so lovely, and her passion and love for camp just came out so much when she was talking about it. And I was just like, that just seems like the place for me. She was telling me about like Mariana, the head of media, and like how long she's been going for and how long everyone's been there for, really. A lot of the senior staff have been going for 5, 10, 20 years. They went there as campers, their kids go there as campers, and seeing like the return rate of international staff, like it just gave me the impression it was such a warm, welcoming, like almost family environment. And yeah, I was just, after the call, she said, like, we'd love to offer you like a role here. Absolutely no pressure to accept it on the spot. Like, please go away, think about it. And I went off the call, went downstairs, spoke to Mum. 5 minutes later, I emailed her back. I was like, please, I would love to come here.
That's literally exactly what happened with me. It's almost like camp chooses you, but you choose camp. There's this like synergy moment where you're just like, no, like this is like the universe, like wants like this just makes sense for me to do this. And it's like, it's such like a lovely sort of like a sort of string moment where you're just like, no, like this is gonna be my like summer place, and it's amazing. I love that.
I got really lucky with Pembroke. It was actually the first camp I interviewed with, and people was like, oh, take your time deciding, like when you know. But after that first call, I was just like, yeah, I know. Like, she told me all about the different bunks, how it works. It was a Jewish camp as well. So, and for someone who wasn't Jewish going in, learning about, she was telling me about the Friday night dinners, their Shabbat, and everything just fell right into place. And I was like, that is the place for me. That's the place that I want to spend my summer. And it was the best summer.
I love that. Well, I think it's like a great sort of topic for a lot of people that are obviously going to camp for the first time in terms of like interviews with camp. So do you have like any advice of any like questions that you would ask, any sort of things that you would do to prepare, or just kind of like tips and tricks for those interviews? Yeah, definitely. So as someone who was going into media, I kind of made sure that like my show reel was together, it was on point, that they'd have that in advance. I think that is what I submitted as like my AmeriCamp video, so they'd be able to see that. But when you have the interview, just being yourself and letting your kind of passion flow. Like, one of the first things when I met that then camp director that interviewed me, once I met her in person, she said, from your interview, I could just tell how highly you spoke of what you do, like photography and videography wise. You just spoke so passionately about it. And kind of your energy about it was just so positive, which is what made her want to like offer me the job and hire me. I think it's always good to go into an interview with a few questions as well, kind of ask about, there's so many cultural differences going to any camp in America. So it's really nice to ask about like whether it's their day off system, the food, the structure of the days, just anything like that. It also really shows like your interest in their specific camp. Plus, if you've done a little bit of research beforehand, go onto their website. If you've seen photos of a certain department, and you can mention that in your interview as well. And it really shows like your commitment and your excitement of going to camp. So yeah, I feel like that really helps. That's super helpful. I feel quite similarly in the fact that even though like camp is interviewing you, at the same time it's fully a two-way street of this is your opportunity to decide if it kind of ticks the boxes for you. So I think definitely like don't go away from the interview being like, oh, I wish I asked that, or like, oh, this is something that like I wish that we spoke about. I think definitely sort of doing that research to see sort of what what the camp has to offer beforehand, and then just kind of making a list of sort of things that are important to you. So very similarly to what you've said, Lucie, like the sort of family aspect of camp was like super important to me. I was like, I've never been away from kind of home for 3 months, like I'm not going to know anyone. I really sort of want to go somewhere that like really feels like my kind of home away from home, that like they have sort of different international and sort of domestic staff for me to kind of gel with, and kind of have that social factor as well. And then again, I went to a special needs camp, so sort of being able to kind of help develop my campers and really kind of make a difference was all kind of really important for me as well. So those were all kind of questions that I asked, as well as again like the sort of schedule of the day, just so that you can kind of really envision like, right, this is sort of what it would look like day in the life, like sort of kind of a standard kind of imagery of like what your kind of work day is going to be like, I think is always helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like as someone who I like to plan, I like to prepare, I like to know kind of what I'm going into, so I can kind of mentally prepare myself for how the day is going to go, how I can help myself to settle into the environment quickly. I feel like that's a big thing. The first few days, it's a massive shock of, oh my gosh, I'm halfway across the world, I'm in a different time zone, like I don't know anyone. You kind of have that shock of during like staff orientation of what am I doing here? Whereas actually, because I'd kind of learned the processes beforehand, I kind of knew what to expect a little bit, that really helped me with settling in and kind of overcoming that little bit of homesickness as well.
And again, like homesickness is something that even if you're like the most traveled person, I think that if you've never done a program like this, like you just it is going to happen, like whether you get it for a couple of days and then you're over it, like it's always just that kind of adjustment period where you just feel like a little bit like you don't quite have all the answers to everything yet, and you do kind of feel that little bit of uneasiness. But I think like just kind of powering through it was like the best, even though it's hard to do, and I do get that, like powering through is like the best thing that I did, because I came out so much like happier and sort of more confident and everything sort of on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. I was the same. The first few days I woke up and I was jet lagged, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just kind of sat there just looking around like, I don't know any of these people, I don't know what I'm doing. But once the days have started, if you just throw yourself into as many things as possible, camps will do a lot. Like I know at Pembroke at least we had a lot of we kind of buddy up in the morning and you talk to each other, then you'd switch person and you get to know like so many people, and all the activities that we did, the different training things, the different fun activities. If you just throw yourself into all of it, you kind of not forget, but it helps distract you from how you might be like feeling.
Totally.
But yeah, it was definitely a adjustment period. I feel like everyone goes through that. I spoke to so many people who were also in the same boat at Pembroke, like, oh, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, have I made the right choice? But once we kind of had a few days of getting past it all being overwhelming, then you just have the best time.
Totally. And then again, I think that like staff orientation is just like the craziest week of life, because that's like where like kind of everything, like all the kind of madness happens, all like you kind of are like sussing out like, right, who your friends are and sort of like who that you have kind of common ground with and all these kind of things as well. But in terms of sort of like the training and things for your job, I think a lot of people, even again like what I'd said before about if you're the sort of most qualified like traveller, if you're even like the most qualified like sort of person within your kind of sport or your skill, you've obviously never done it at camp, and that was obviously the case for you sort of before you went out for your first year. So I think it would be good for sort of everyone that's maybe sort of not familiar with that kind of orientation week and things like that, kind of chatting through the kind of training and things you got for your job. Obviously you came with like industry experience and you had sort of like years of, you'd studied it, you'd kind of created a lot of different projects and things like that, but obviously you had to sort of adapt to what you were doing at Pembroke. So can you chat us a little bit through your kind of training and sort of how sort of helpful that was for you as well?
Yeah, so definitely. So when I got to Pembroke, I'd had my studying time and I'd had working out in media industries, but being in the camp environment was so different. So I got there and I knew how to edit and I knew how the cameras worked and I knew kind of this like teamwork aspect in the media world. But with it being with the kids at camp, that was something completely different to me.
Yeah.
So kind of learning how we'd structure like our elective lessons, how we'd structure just like the day-to-day within like the media department. And with every department that you're in, basically there's going to be like a timetable to it. And there's not necessarily like a right or wrong way, but it's learning what's best for you, what suits your skills, and what helps like the people around you, the people you're working with, but also how to give the kids like the best possible like side of yourself and the best, not as such education because it's like fun summer camp, but giving them the best learning experiences, giving them the memories that they can then go back at the end of the day, back to their bunk counsellors and say, oh, you'll never guess what I learned in videography today. Like, I know how to colour grade this video. They might not remember the word colour grade, but they'll know that they were editing and putting audio on and all things like that.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think it's just all about sort of like adapting your skills sort of to that camp environment. Obviously, you mentioned that you had like a media head. Again, that's something that... Unless obviously you're coming in like you are sort of like older and you have like sort of maybe like department head experience, like a lot of the time with premium roles, even as well as like sort of other roles, you're always going to have a sort of team and you're always going to have a sort of more senior person above you. Again, even if you're within like a premium leadership position, there's always going to be like a head of department, like a senior head for like that side of camp, sort of whatever that looks like. So you always have that kind of guidance and that support through different channels as well. What was the kind of role of your kind of media head and how did she kind of help guide you in the sort of media team process?
Yeah, so I literally met her on the second day we were there. We came in quite late, went to bed, woke up the next morning. It's like, yep, okay, everyone, you're going to go meet your department heads. So it was a little bit overwhelming at first. I was like, okay, this is the person that I really need to get on with, I hope I can like impress her with my skills.
Yeah.
And she was just the loveliest, kindest, most warm person. Walk into the media shed and she's like, oh, give me a big hug.
Oh, that's cute.
And just so lovely. But I think even though they are senior to you and they do have probably that little bit more experience, they also know what it's like to be you. They've also had their first summer at one point. They also know what it's like to be the new person. So no question is too big or too small or too silly. And they're just someone that you can always turn to for a bit of guidance. You think you've done something wrong or you need advice on this or how to deal with the kids in this way, or actually I haven't used this type of camera before, could you perhaps help me with doing that? And they're always so supportive, even from different departments who would come into media, like when drama would sometimes come in, they want to film something, their department heads as well are always there, always a shoulder to lean on. If you just want a little chat, they're always going to be there.
That's so nice. And again, it's so important kind of if you're going into that sort of more premium, more experienced role and you're like, oh my goodness, like you might feel a little bit overwhelmed at some points, but I think it's so good to sort of know that you always have a kind of guiding point from someone to kind of help.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like with a lot of people, if perhaps they're going into premium, they feel like they need to know everything and they need to give that, as amazing as it is to give that 110% straight away, sometimes you need to take a step back and just think, okay, maybe I do need help with this. Yeah. And that's just completely okay to ask for help. I think I had that little bit of pressure on myself, like, okay, I'm coming into this, I have this experience, I know I can do it, but sometimes you just need that little bit of support. It's definitely okay to ask for.
Totally. Yeah, I'm so with you on that. So yeah, obviously you are heading off to camp again this summer. How exciting is that? And you're going to a new camp this summer as well. So I don't know if you want to chat a little bit about like sort of the decision to kind of like go to a new camp, sort of what you're excited for, what you're doing, and just kind of fill me in.
Definitely. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to camp after last year. I knew that I loved it so much and I met friends for life. I didn't kind of want to not ruin my first summer, but I didn't want to perhaps overshadow the memories of of last summer with the new one.
Yeah.
Then one day I was just scrolling on like a camp Facebook chat, everyone's sharing their memories, and there was a little post from Tyler Hill saying, we're hiring for photographers. And I'd heard of Tyler Hill, I'd seen them online, I'd seen they're quite big on TikTok. And so I'd heard them before. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. You know, it won't hurt to email, you know. And they got back to me like, oh, so lovely to hear from you. Do you have a show reel? Put that together with all my photos and videos from Pembroke. Really excitedly sent it off. They're like, amazing, we'd love to have a chat with you. So now I'm off there as a photographer this year, which I am very excited about. We had a Zoom call the other week actually with our media team. I think there's close to 10 of us this year.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
Quite a bit bigger than Pembroke. But yeah, I'm really excited to experience like a new camp, being in a new state in America, meeting new people. I think that's a thing with a lot of camps. They can be so similar yet so different. I feel like with Pembroke it was quite small, but I feel like Tyler Hill's like 3-4 times the size. So even though I kind of have that camp experience and I can bring my skills forward, it's still going to be like a fun new learning experience and meeting new people.
Yeah, it's like you sort of get to do that all over again, but like for the first time. So it's like, and again, I totally get what you mean in terms of you're like, you want to keep like everything how perfect as it was in a bubble, and you're like, I love that. But and again, I think especially when you're like young and you have like loads of summers to kind of before you need to jump into adulthood and sort of full-time work and sort of all these adult commitments, I think definitely sort of taking advantage of the sort of different kind of people that you can meet and the different sort of jobs you can have and the different kind of places you can go as well, I think is really cool. And I think that you're going to have the best time. As I say, Tyler Hill's one that we have a lot of returns that go. Obviously we've got different kind of influencers there. Harry, who's our marketing king, went to Tyler Hill and says only amazing things. So you're kind of set up for having the best time, which is really exciting. So in terms of your role for this year, so is it quite similar to you're going to be like a bunk counsellor and a photographer? Sort of how does it slightly differ from kind of last year?
Yeah, so it's slightly different because the media team's much bigger. I won't be teaching media electives as such. So I'll be living in the bunk, and then my 6-period day will be split across, because the camp is so big, I'll be kind of with like an age division and kind of go around with to their different activities.
That's fine.
Taking photos of them throughout. So quite similar, but also quite different to Pembroke. There isn't as much, they have media electives that they teach, but with more my role, it's more definitely focused on the photography this year. But with it being a much bigger camp, there's so many more kids, there's so many more counsellors, so many more activities and amazing things to photograph. So really looking forward to that.
Amazing. And I think it's so good for your like professional experience as well, kind of going into kind of building that portfolio and sort of like expanding your show reels and things like that. It's obviously you have like amazing kind of like equipment and things like that to use, and you've got kind of a lot of even sort of built skills up from sort of last year that you can kind of put into this year as well. So there's a lot of kind of exciting prospects from that. Have you got a kind of like career focus in mind in terms of like your sort of like media side of things? Have you got an idea of what you might want to do in the future? Are you just kind of vibing? What's your...
I mean, at the moment, I'm just kind of vibing. Long term, I would love to work in kind of film and TV production. That's kind of like the end goal of, you know, the credits of a Marvel movie will roll and it will say like directed by Lucie Gascoigne.
Yes, I can see that.
We'll cross our fingers and hope. But in the meantime, just everything media related just brings me so much joy, whether that be at the moment doing like my photography and videography, or making my own short films, or being in like some of my friends' short films. I'd love then to start being on more like professional productions, whether that be documentary, TV, film, just anything related like that. I just love like the collaboration of it, and it's just something I just love to be a part of.
Amazing. Love. Well, as I say, it's been so kind of great to hear a bit more about your kind of background at Pembroke, your Tyler Hill adventures just about to start in the next few weeks as well, and obviously learn a little bit more about your kind of experience for anyone that's not familiar with kind of media and that side of camp, and sort of being a premium amazing superstar that you are. Have you got any advice for anyone sort of looking to do premium for 2026, and sort of anyone that is maybe kind of not sure on sort of roles and things like that they want to do?
Definitely. So I think to anyone who's thinking, oh, I have this talent or I have this skill or oh, I'm experiencing this, and they're not sure it can be done at camp, like you said, most likely a camp will be hiring for it. No matter how kind of niche your experience is, there is likely other people across the pond who share passion and are looking for someone as dedicated as yourself to go and do that and teach that there. I think keeping as open-minded as possible to different camps, just talking to as many people. If you can talk to people who have perhaps done the program or other applicants, you can kind of like share your experience. And yeah, like if you keep as open-minded as possible to different opportunities from different camps. I think with me, I wasn't so sure on being like a bunk counsellor to start with, going into Pembroke. But coming out the other side of it, that was where some of the best memories were made, like with my kids and with my co-counsellors. Just keeping as open-minded as possible. And if you're debating in your head applying, then you definitely should. One of the best things I've ever done, given me friends for life, memories for life, and has opened so many doors for me, like afterwards with both my portfolio and also working with things with AmeriCamp as, yeah.
I love it.
Been amazing.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know, Lucie's doing a fun little premium series over on our TikTok, which you should absolutely check out in the month of June if you want to have a little bit more behind the scenes content on kind of what that looks like. And then obviously sort of getting some new fun content from Tyler Hill at the end of the summer when you get back as well, which will be great for everyone to kind of follow along and see what you get up to. Have you got any sort of like must-see travel recommendations for the US? Any like Walmart essentials? Anything that everyone like needs to be in the know on?
Okay. Number one essential, I can actually see mine right here. Crocs with gibbets. My gibbets are all Harry Styles themed, and I got my one.
Amazing.
So when I trade with the kids, they knew that all the Harry Styles ones, they were from Lucie.
Love.
So that was amazing. So Walmart essential. You don't even need the branded ones, just the off-brand ones as well. Amazing. So handy. Walmart essential, a massive water bottle. I mean, I've got my massive Stanley Cup here. This is the most American thing. I've got my one with all my stickers on in the other room. I feel like that's something that everyone has. They're making bracelets off the side and they have stickers from everywhere they've travelled.
Yeah.
And then speaking of travels, I used my full, I think I used 29 out of 30 days.
Love.
Of like my allowance period in America afterwards to travel. Oh my gosh, where was my favourite place? I think New York will always hold a really special place in my heart. I feel like that's a really popular one for people, whether they're going before camp, after camp, flying in and out of New York was just like London times 10.
It's surreal, isn't it? It's like crazy.
You never run out of things to do. That was amazing. I loved San Francisco as well. Somewhere I wasn't like 100% sure, but I was in LA, so I was like, oh, I'll just go up a little bit further. Didn't quite realize it was a 9-hour bus. Learned that once I got on the bus, but survived.
Do your research, everybody.
Yeah, that's the other tip. Do your research on where all these things are. If it looks really small on the map, you've got to remember America is huge.
Yeah.
Something that looks like this is like a 10-hour drive.
That's so real. That is so real.
Keep that in mind as well.
My favourite place was Cape Cod, which was actually super close to you at camp last year. So I was super jealous that was your like day in the life of just like frolicking around Cape Cod. I was envious to say the least. But
I loved Massachusetts as a state. Actually, that is somewhere that I feel like because my camp was there, I was very lucky. I was able to visit a lot of the towns and into Boston. But Boston is like one of my favourite cities.
I think the same. I love it.
is where I'm going like before camp this year as well. I'm going on like Cape Cod and things again. It's just such a beautiful place, and just, yeah, love it there so much.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting to me and sort of giving everyone a little bit more scope on your kind of premium role at camp last year, your sort of photography experience this year. I've loved it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, bye everyone. Thanks so much for listening, and